Well, good afternoon or good morning if you're still in Arizona. I am Bruce, aka the guy in the blue shirt here, and my method is simpler, faster, better. And I have an organization called Process Cleanup, and I'm in Phoenix, Arizona on a beautiful midwinter day here. And I'm honored to have Renee join us all the way from California. Hi, Renee.
Hi, Bruce. How are you? Thank you for having me.
Good. I love to do my behind the scenes setup with you. That's all part of the process. And being a process guy, I also like to get people to know how, my guests end up being a guest. So a couple of technical issues. If you are watching, Renee and I cannot see you watching unless you say hi. If you're shy, just say hi. That's all you have to do. If you are a follower of myself or Renee and have questions, pop those in the comments and we will answer those typically after the live stream. And hi, Yolanda. So Yolanda, I've met a couple of times in beautiful Dallas, Texas area. So she's a very loyal supporter for my live streams and very informative. So thank you, Yolanda, for joining us. So I like to, the context of how Renee got here is following my process called the 4 Cs. And the first C is commenting. And I actually commented on a couple of posts. I don't remember the exact specificness, but the theme of what I was intrigued about was your origin story, which we'll get to in a minute. But finding your voice, and I've been through different renditions of finding my own voice, and so we started by commenting, and then that led to a connection. So that's the second C, and then inside that connection, I like to try and build a community of like-minded people, and so Renee, quite rightly, and she asked if we could chit chat a little bit more offline before we did the live stream here today. And through that, there was some common ground. And then all my live stream guests become part of what I call a community. So those are the 4 Cs. People that say that LinkedIn doesn't work, it's because they don't follow the process. And people have different processes, but so it's conversation leads to connection. Connection leads to, common ground and, being able to form a community with people. And inside that community, then you end up collaborating. So that's the 4 Cs. Yolanda's heard me say that many times over, and I know she uses a similar process. So anyway, enough of me. Yes, the 4 Cs, they work. It works. So like Yolanda, if you are in the live stream, please say hi, even if you're shy. So finding your voice. Let's go back to your origin story, Renee, and I'll let you tell people about, what finding your voice for you was all about and how that started. So go ahead.
Thank you so much, Bruce. And again, thank you so much for having me as your guest. It is through connection that we get to collaborate and share our voices.
Right.
And for me, that began in 2013 when I was working in corporate America. I was working for a very large company, and I was taking care of everybody else but that gal looking back at me in the mirror. And I wasn't connecting or collaborating with her by any means. Everything was outside of me. And that's where I was finding my validation, my own worth, was the people pleasing. And it was fear of judgment, my own limiting beliefs. I didn't realize it. And I can't speak for everybody. I have my own voice. I can speak for me. But I didn't realize what I was doing because I was in like the crux of the chaos. I was running around. It was the Christmas holiday season. I had these multi-million-dollar teams and departments I was responsible for. I was responsible for all of them, for hiring them, for training them, for releasing them, for everything. And it was a lot. It was like close to 100 people that were on my team. Plus I had corporate initiatives, which gave me the responsibility of the entire store.
Right.
So it was more than the 100 people. It was a lot of people. And I never said I couldn't do it because I felt if they being the company, kept giving me, I guess, responsibilities, then who was I to say I can't do it? They must have thought I could. And you don't want to say I can't do something, because then maybe they'll, demote you, or maybe, all these stories that go on in your head. So I did everything with a smile. And inside I was dying.
Right.
And I don't mean it in a dramatic way. I mean, I got so sick that I was taken out of my job, and I was taken out of life. I was told I may never be able to speak again. And I was quarantined for 4 months with no voice and no access to the public. So from once running around like a chicken with my head cut off, taking care of everybody, I could barely take care of myself.
Right.
I had no ability to take care of me because the pain, they put me in the ER twice, and the doctors thought I was going to have permanent damage. I had sores all over my vocal cords. And I remember, before I actually lost my voice from the illness, I remember asking the ER doctor if I was contagious, and I wrote about it in my book, and he said, "Oh, you're highly contagious. You can't be with the public." So from once being that person that was running, doing, going, I was never being. I never allowed myself to just be. Every minute, every second I had off, I had like 2 days off a week, and it wasn't in the week. Sometimes it was 10 days straight, working till midnight or 8 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the morning. I had to be back with no sleep. And I just kept going. And any time off I did have, I was devoting it to doing more work for the store.
Right.
And they never said you have to work on your days off. That was me, because I felt, how could I do the job you're expecting of me if I didn't do work outside of work?
Right.
So
yeah, you made some very interesting, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
But quick observations, your community, particularly in a customer facing role that the organization was in, your community then expanded to your customers. And so, yeah, I like to try and align my customers within or around a community. And, the live stream guest is just one community. So,
yeah.
But, go ahead.
I was going to say, this was a corporate job. So I had to show up every day for them.
Right.
And because it was retail, it was all hours of the day and night. It wasn't 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, or 8 to 5, or 9 to, it was all over the spectrum. As I said, it was Christmas. Sometimes I didn't get home till 1 o'clock in the morning, and I maybe had to be back at 6 o'clock in the morning. So there wasn't a lot of downtime to refill my own cup. And when you have about 100 people, plus the whole store, could be a couple of thousand people you're responsible for, I took that very seriously. And I took my role very seriously. So I knew what I needed to do. And that was for me to get that job done. And I didn't want to just do it. I wanted to do it to the 10th degree. It meant throwing myself into it. And I did so in such a way that, I got pretty ill, and to the point of not wanting to live anymore. And because doctors had no cure for me, I'm like, I couldn't go on day after day not being able to swallow. It was like I had sores all over my vocal cords that left me unable to eat or drink. And so I was pretty much wasting away. And that, left me to a deep depression. Right. And that was not a fun place to be. So I couldn't see my family, my best friend, the one that was always out with the public, was like, kibosh, was like, you're not only not with the public, it's like, you don't even want to live anymore. You can't even swallow your own stuff. Right. Because, later on, Bruce, I'm going to tell you, I just said you couldn't even swallow your own stuff. I couldn't. Later on, after I got through it, I'm like, what was I not allowing myself to swallow in life? What was I not allowing myself to take in? That the pain was so great and so intense to the point of not wanting to survive it. Because it was too painful. Yeah. What I learned is when you're brought to something and through something, there's a greater purpose than you're even aware of.
Right. Well, the link I was going to make also is that, corporations, particularly back in 2013, they were probably not as astute or aware of some of the impacts of some of the things that they were asking to do. I think corporations are, particularly still post-pandemic, are still a lot more aware of the impact of what they were asking you to do. And, and that if you are asking them to call time out, I think they're a lot more open, at least open to the conversation. Back in the early 2000s, most corporations would see that as a weakness, I think. Today, I think there's some more tolerance and understanding around that, for sure. But it's interesting, also, the analogy you make where you realize that you weren't allowing yourself to be yourself, and you were being you for everybody else. I mean, that's a downward spiral for sure, right?
100%. You're right. I didn't want to speak up. I was afraid if I spoke up and said I couldn't do something, it's like, why can't you? We'll get somebody else to do your job. It's like, oh my goodness. It's like I was, the sole income earner. I needed the job. That was my only source of income. How do you put yourself out there and say, this is too much, and then the fear of, well, then, bye-bye. You don't want to have that happen. And maybe that was a story I was telling myself. It could have been, but based on what I saw when other people spoke up, I saw the result. So I don't really think it was a story. I saw reality happening to friends of mine. I'm like, oh my God, I can't do that. I can't. No. So I couldn't speak up. I was afraid to speak up because I saw people being released. I'm like, I can't say anything.
Right.
And I knew I needed that position to be able to pay my way through my life.
Sure.
And the thing is, I didn't need to stay there. I could have left. Nobody held a gun to my head and said, you have to stay here. Right. I also said, well, I've been here for so many years. It was like, from like 1993 and it was 2013. So you were 92, actually, a long time. I'm like, what am I going to do now? I didn't want to start fresh after putting all that time and energy into that position and what I had brought there. So I didn't want to just up and leave. I could have, but I think that was my own fear as well.
Right. So the origin there is very interesting that, you took the corporate responsibility to another level, and often we get sucked into that environment. I've been in not exactly the same, not retail facing, but I've been in pretty tough operational and organizations that, they expect a lot from you, and they're giving you good rewards. And so, you can very quickly start to write a narrative for yourself that says, I shouldn't do that, or I shouldn't say that. But I think probably, based on our conversation offline, if you fast forward, you would probably admit, like I do, that that's a narrative that we convinced ourselves was the narrative and probably wasn't all the reality. So you have to watch out for that.
I agree with that. And, as I said, we go through, we grow through. And I learned, because that's what I do now, is I help women on the journey to empowerment in the transformational coaching I do for them. And I created the voice blueprint from vulnerability to empowerment. So the V, obviously the vulnerability, E is empowerment. And along the coaching that I do with women in life and leadership is how I walk them through that journey in their own life of finding their voice. It doesn't mean they had to lose it physically like I did. Maybe some did, because I've heard many stories of women actually losing their voice, like, in different ways. It could be in a relationship because they're not speaking up. But the biggest question I would say is, where are you not speaking up in your life? Because the way we do one thing is the way we do many things in our life. And I didn't speak up, personally or professionally, because there was always that fear of judgment, or, if I say this, they're going to judge me or they're not going to like me, and looking for that validation to feel accepted. And you have to accept yourself. You have to love yourself, and you have to feel your confidence. It comes from within. You can't get things like from outside. You have to get it from here. It's in you. And so often we lose it because of experiences we've had. We allow people to run our narrative.
Right. And write it.
And they write the narrative. And well, the thing is, if it's a friend or a family member, we tend to we hold on to the words they speak to us. The words have power, and they can create worlds of good or not so good for other people, but it's up to the individual to accept as what somebody else is saying. Is it true? Is it really true what somebody said about me? Is it based on their own experience, or are they judging me from their own experience in life? And, you know, that's on them, not on you. Right. So live your life for you, not for acceptance of somebody else and their experience and their journey. So that's a big takeaway for me, because losing my voice was extremely painful. But then again, you know, there's lessons that I've learned along the way. It's why I created the Voice Blueprint. It's why I now have a voice to be that vessel for other women in their own journey, in their work, or in their personal life as well, because it resonates and it really goes beyond, you know, in everything they do in every aspect of their life. The women I work with, I see it every single day. It just transfers into different aspects of their life where they're not speaking up, where they're going to just, you know, squash what they really want to say. And then it leads to dis-ease in your mind, dis-ease in your body. Where are you, you know, finding it? Where are you feeling tense and tight? Or where is disease, that dis-ease, showing up in your life?
Yeah. So Yolanda's, thank you, Yolanda. She's making some great commentary and observation.
Thank you, Yolanda. Yes, you're right. The desire, job security, desire to be a go-getter can have detrimental effects. 100%. I agree. Yeah, absolutely.
So if you are listening in, again, Renee and I can't see unless you say hi, and please join Yolanda in the active conversation. Don't be shy. And there's a lot of different, you know, things that happen to either make us form our voice or lose our voice, right? So and I know you have a publication which you're very proud of, and I know you want to show. So why don't you fast forward? So rather than, you know, talking about the origin so much, why don't you fast forward to talk about what you're doing today and the resources that you have available for yourself and others so go ahead.
I would love to, Bruce. Thank you. As I said, what we go through, we grow through. And I've done a lot of my own inner work and inner growth. And part of that is a birth that I had in 2020, February 3rd of 2020, called Finding Your Voice. It's right here. Unlock your chains and unleash your greatness. It became a 4 times #1 bestseller on Amazon, and it continues to do well, which I'm really proud of this book, because it was really me being vulnerable. You know, when you read it, and I really encourage you to pick it up. It's $8 and change on Amazon. So if get a gift for yourself, the holidays are coming up, gift for others. It's a great resource and tool, because in it, I have, but the chapters are like 2-3 page chapters, if that. They're very short chapters. If you like easy read, it is that. Powerful and impactful as well. I leave takeaway sections with 3 to 4 line pages for you to actually express your voice.
Right.
On the pages, write it down, date every single time you make an entry in it, because what happens is you can see your own, you know, as you evolve, you're only evolving through life, through an experience, through your inner evolving, creating your outer world. And that's going to be the biggest piece, because you can get to go back to it. You get to go back to it and see where you were before you answer the next question, where you were before you pick up the book again to answer the following question. And then as you go through and grow through life and your own journey, you can see the growth you've had along the way. And that's very powerful.
Yep. Journaling is key. And in fact, I wasn't going to show it, but I have it right here. I actually have a Fix-It journal, which is not, I can't. Oh, there we go. No, anyway, it's available out on Kindle, but it won't show on the camera too good. But it's interesting because it is a workbook, and it sounds like yours is, but there are places for, you know, when people are doing process improvements, there's 26 tips in here, different 26 of the top process improvements that people want to do. But not only, you know, what are their actions, but I've got what are my reflections, and people can jot down, you know, what they've learned along the way, what they might do differently, or might want to go back and do over. So, you know.
Yeah, no, I think this is a great book with the holidays coming out, you know, right around the corner. Finding Your Voice, Unlock Your Chains, and Unleash Your Greatness. As I said, you could look up my name on Amazon or look up the book.
Right.
Either way, it's something that I think you'll really enjoy. I've had people read it multiple times and go through the exercises multiple times because it's a growth tool that you have. It's an evergreen tool that you can continue to use. And I encourage you to reach out, because this is how we go through things in life. It's not alone, but it's reaching out and sharing our voices, sharing our experiences. I created the Voice Blueprint, as I said, to help women along that journey from vulnerability to empowerment. I had to be vulnerable myself. The book is, I should have said Real Raw Renee, because there are parts in it where you will laugh and said, it's so funny. She actually told her something like that. I do. I kind of just put it out there, because how else can you relate to something if I just told you all the good things that happen, rather than the real, raw, and vulnerable parts of me that you need to know that you can actually relate to for yourself. And so I do tell you the real, the raw, the not so pretty things, because I want you to understand that I actually understand you too, because I know the pain you're going through or you've gone through. It may not be exactly like yours, but pain is pain, and we feel in different ways in our life. And I was going to say something that was given to me. The pain was tremendous. But the thing is, if I hadn't experienced it, I wouldn't have been able to go through or grow through it to serve the people I'm meant to serve.
Right. So after the live stream, it will go to replay. Feel free to add the link to your book or other resources. You can do that. It's kind of just like adding a comment. So it's another, back to the first C, right? All the way back to commenting on certain people.
Yeah, I will. I'll also do put my website's 𝐅𝐢𝐧𝐝.com, and that's got my calendar link. You get a complimentary consultation. I'll be happy to share our voices and gift that to you for sure, because that's how it starts, that connection, that conversation, sharing our voice, sharing our story. So I absolutely look forward to that.
Yeah, and I'll because I wasn't able to show it, I'll drop the link to my Fix It journal, as I call it. So it's more whilst you focus on empowering women. I tend to do the same. They tend to be more my clients, but interesting enough, my Fix It journal was really originated around, it's very more male formatted, male friendly. Even the colors and the layout is more so yeah, it's an equally powerful thing for, like you're helping empower women. It would be good for me to share how I empower men and women with the same journal. So yeah. So
well, that's great. It is its expression. I mean, I know journaling has been very helpful for me and expressing, and that's why I wrote the book. I didn't actually set out to write a book when I started this journey. I said, I even wrote in the book, who am I to write a book? Like, who cares? And then I thought, you know what? It's not about you. It's about who you can serve because of what you've gone through. And that's the bigger takeaway. That's the biggest thing of all. Serving other people, helping them through what they're going through. And as my best friend, who's one of my beautiful, bright angels in heaven, was there to help me when I was going through this, I can be your vessel too. And I look forward to it.
Yeah, well, I remember one of our conversations about common ground is, mine. I have simpler, faster, better as a method, and my simple thing is, if through what I share, either content here or in my in-person networking meetings I do, if I can help support or inspire just one person from that content, then for me it's kind of one person at a time. I don't have a big following as such, because what I do is very, very specialized and very specific. But what I have been able to do is motivate, inspire, help people think about things differently, particularly when it comes to their processes. We accept a lot of kind of less than optimal processes in our lives. And if you've not seen what a good process looks like, then of course you don't really know there's a different way or a different thing that you can do. So yeah, I'm very simple. Just if I can impact one person each time I share or do something on LinkedIn, and that's a good day for me. So
that's great, Bruce. Congratulations.
Hey, it's just a simple thing. And actually, I learned that from, funny enough, I was working, I told you before we got on to the live stream, with a young lady that runs Effortless Living, and I showed her actually Brian Schulman's profile here, and it was Brian Schulman that I met back in 2019. That number one, I'd never been on video. Number two, I never did selfies, and Brian encouraged me to become eventually a LinkedIn live stream host, and that was his thing. He would just say, hey, you know, if I can help or inspire or motivate or change one person's life for the better, that's kind of his simple measure. So I borrowed that measure from Brian Schulman, and
he's great. I think that's why we're here. I think that's why we're here, to be the vessel for other people. And yeah, Brian's a great guy. He's a friend of mine as well.
Yeah.
And I think that's why we go through different things. We're to be a light in not just our own life, but a light for others.
Right.
And so
yeah. And Brian will be self-admittedly, he's been through, you know, his life has not been always smooth and dandy and the most straightforward. So, you know, he's had some challenges to overcome too. And and the power of his voice by sharing that is very impactful for sure. Anyway, so cool. All right. So kind of final little segment. Do you find that there's kind of a sector of women that you tend to empower more or work with more? How does that work for you?
Yeah, I work, well, a lot of the women I work with women in leadership, because I come from a leadership role, who feel like they have to have everything together outwardly, but inside they're crumbling. But they're not going to say that, because, you know, they've got to do their job. They go to work, like, you know, bring home the bacon and take care of the kids and the husband and blah, 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 blah. But yet they need their downtime. They need to just, you know, breathe. And then there's a lot of just women out there who are feeling like they're not enough. They're feeling like no matter what they do, it's never enough, and that they're not enough. But I'm going to tell you, if you're listening or watching, don't play that tape anymore.
Right.
That tape is obsolete, and you are here for a greater purpose. And it's not to people please to get validation, because validation is for parking meters, not for you. And you want to make sure that you stay close to your tribe. And who is your tribe? How do you find your tribe? Be you. Be you. Because the right people will show up when you are you. When you try to just be somebody else, then you're not really living out your purpose, your life. People are going to migrate to you like a magnet, because you're being authentically you. Those are the right people you're going to attract. The women, the relationships that you're looking to attract are there for you. And I mean relationships, whether it's, you know, whatever relationship that is, you're going to attract the right people, the right men, the right women, the right whatever you're looking to attract, just by being you authentically and organically. And those are the people that you're meant to. I find the people that I continue to attract are more people like me. Why is that? Because that's the vibration that I'm at.
Right.
I don't want to be anybody else.
And just to help maybe people that are feeling, you know, that way, because I had to climb this mountain myself, is, you know, I only ultimately appeal to or attract, if you like, in another way, about 6% or less of the entire amount of people I ever meet or talk to. And whilst some people might say, well, that number is really, really low, it doesn't matter. It just happens to be the number. So after I kind of got past, you know, because I would say, well, you know, what's wrong with me? Why don't I get into flow with more people, or get to relate to more people, or be in alignment with more people? I mean, that's just my number. And so once you come to terms with the fact that you have that number and it's your number, and just move on and not beat yourself up about it. So I used to go off on all these things like, you know, what can I do differently? What am I not doing right? What am I doing wrong? You know, I went into this spiral of a lot of work for no effort. So,
well, we tend to, Bruce, we tend to compare ourselves to other people, especially with social media, and you're scrolling and scrolling and seeing how successful everybody is. Let me tell you something about those things that you're seeing. I wrote an article in a magazine several years ago, and my article, it said the real life, REEL, versus the REAL life.
Right.
The REAL life is the behind the scenes and maybe the anger and the tears and the frustration that you don't always see. And the REEL life is what people are putting out there. Right. So you don't know what got them to where they are. You see what they want you to see. And then it makes you feel less than. You're very much not less than. You're more than enough. And just, as I said, reach out. This is about sharing our voices. This is about coming into your own and stepping into your own power. It says, finding your voice, unlock your chains, and unleash your greatness, because you have greatness within you. And it's always been there, but I allowed others to squash it down for way too long. And you've got to set the healthy boundaries. This is what I do. This is why I work with the women I work with. It doesn't have to be that you're coming from a corporate role like I was. Before that, I was just me, and I still will always be just me. So wherever you are in your life, please, if you're feeling that frustration, if you're feeling you're not enough, or you can never be enough or do enough, please reach out. This is why I was brought to that and through that time in my life to be here for you. So whatever it takes, the first step is to make the first step.
Right.
Reach out. It's a complimentary call.
Great segue into, I know you've mentioned it a couple of times, but what's the preferred way for people to reach out to you, Renee? And please drop that in the feed afterwards. But
I will. My website is reneereich.com. As I said, I'm on LinkedIn. I do articles and I do posts throughout the week. So definitely reach out, connect with me, leave me a note as to you seeing this, and what, I'd be happy to connect with you. But as I said, reneereich.com. There's my calendar link is there too. You could schedule your complimentary call. This is the holidays coming up. Gift yourself this time for you. Yeah. So I look forward to your voices.
It can be a lonely time inside of a big group.
Absolutely, Bruce. Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah.
I want to say how grateful I am to you for inviting me to this time to share our voices with each other and with your public here. This has been amazing. And as I said, it's through sharing our voices and our journeys that we can help inspire, impact, and empower others on the journey of finding their voice.
Yeah. And if you catch this on #replay, you can still add comments. You can still ask either of us questions. I know Renee is very diligent, very detail orientated, so she will get back to you, and I do too. So thank you. I'm just going to do a little self-plug, a couple of self-plugs, a couple of little outtakes. The first one was I met a guy called Devin James, and Devin James, if whether you're new or mature, if you ever want a brand story written, he uses a combination of emotions, which is graphics and music. So this is my little brand story. If I can find it, here we go. So a little bit, 1 minute or less of what I do and how I do it.
You're frustrated that you have no time and you just hate it. You lost your mind. You're running around the kids and the spouse, and the business that was once your passion has got you burnt out. So, consult with Bruce, the guy in the blue shirt. He'll help you find the truth so that you can do you first. See, it's all about simpler, faster, better, so you can save massive amounts of time and money, instead of longing for the day where you can finally kick your feet up. Do yourself a favor. Call up Bruce. He'll tell you about process cleanup.
What do you think?
Nice.
Yeah, so Devin's based in Portland, Oregon, and I got to spend some time actually on a seasonal venture there called the Deck. So we floated around in the Columbia River and ate and had a few beverages. So that was a great time. And then fast forward to behind me is a little visual of my 3D Process Enhancement Center, which I'm now able to offer the basic subscriptions as complimentary. So if people want to look at having a 3D enhancement center for whatever they do, then they can do that. And just a couple of words about that. I used Devin again. So we ended up creating 3 spaces, which people are going to be able to see. And we ended up with spaces called Connect and Shop and Shop and Play.
You don't want to miss out. That's all I'm going to say. The right place, the right time, the right tech. In the omniverse is where I place my bet.
Connect and shop and play and play.
Imagine having Google stocks back in the day when you got up on the ground floor. Pennies to the dollar. This is opportunity calling, so you better yell holla, holla, holla.
Little more fun side of our characters. Never rapped before in my life, so anyway. All right. Well, thank you, Renee. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Bruce.
Thank you for all the comments from people. And again, yeah, if you're watching this as a replay, feel free to add comments or questions. We will still get back to you. And I will come off the live and just hang for a minute, Renee. So thank you. Take care, everybody. Bye. Bye from California and Phoenix, right?
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much.
Bye.